Hello, so welcome to my practical review channel. So this is my first video. So if you excuse me for my setup, for my very primitive setup. But nonetheless, let us get started. So what I want to review today is this one. It's Cofoe Infrared Thermometer. So what you want to do for today is to review this and how does it compare against your classical, pencil thermometer, and of course the thing that we see every day, this kind of infrared thermometer. Like, how does this differ from this device? Okay, so first off, our outline will follow something like this. So a device overview, then how to use it, then tips on using it, as well as we compare their accuracy. I'll put it over. There. So the easiest part, device overview. So when you get this, well, it comes in this box. Open this. Okay, we have this. I'll throw this back. We have this. The instruction manual. It's in English, thankfully. Although I don't know if your mileage might vary if you buy it from Lazada, if it will get the Chinese instructions, I don't know. Oh, by the way, I bought this from Lazada at 600 pesos, 599. However, it could be on discount, so I saw this currently on sale for 580 pesos. Not much of a discount, but still. So it has batteries, so it's AAA. So you open this, put in AAA batteries. So I won't be using this. Instead, I have some Eneloop AAA batteries, which I will use in here. So the basic usage is easy. It only has one button, and this one is a dual mode. So you can use it to measure your forehead and only your forehead. I'll get to that later. Or you can remove this and you can measure the temperature in your ear. So this one is kind of easy to use. Just shove it into your ear canal and then just press the button and it will beep. It will know that you got the temperature. The temperature is measured. So to open it, simply press this button. And you see, it's the display is green. So the display is green, and you see, look at this. There's this icon here. It's not clear here, but it is a head, a person's head. If I remove this, well, I'm going to measure my ear first. You hear the beep, right? So that's a sign that the temperature is measured. So here you see, suddenly it's not clear, but you notice that the head is missing and there's the icon that replaces it. It's not clear, but it's actually a picture of an ear. This one can actually detect if this piece is on or not. So if it's attached to the device, it's in forehead temperature mode. If you remove it, it's in ear temperature mode. So it's very important to use this as it was intended to be, or else you will get inaccurate measurements. Now for the in-depth usage, so as you can see, there are two rows of number. There's the temperature and what is that at the bottom? So this actually has a memory function. To access the memory function, you simply hold the button for 2 seconds. 1, 2. There. You're now in memory and you're able to review the previous memory by pressing on the single button. It will scroll through all. This can store up to 50. So you can imagine it's kind of unwieldy. You have to keep on pressing and pressing to get to number 50. A couple of things to note. a while ago you saw that, oh, see? What does it mean if it's red? So red means it's low temperature. This actually, the color of the display changes whether the temperature is high, low, or just above high. It can be green, red, or yellow. So I open this. Then to reset this, simply hold this for 2 seconds to go to memory mode. Then hold for 4 seconds to clear it. See? It's gonna clear the memory. Now, does this have settings? Yes. So one of the obvious settings is to change from centigrade to Fahrenheit. To do that, you have to start in the off state. So I have to wait until this turns off. Then hold the single button for 3 seconds. F1. So now I can change whether it's in Celsius or Fahrenheit. One button operation. So to go to the next setting, I hold this for 3 seconds. This one will change what is a threshold for a fever. So in this case, if it's 38.1, it will display red. So like, oh, I have a fever. I can change it by pressing a single button. Now, next, F3. So this is whether I want the sound to be on or off. So a while ago, if you notice, when I took the temperature of my my ear, it will beep to say, okay, I took the measurement. I can turn it off. The next one is, this one is an adjustment. So once it takes the temperature, it will add or subtract by this value. I don't want to change it, but you can press this single button to have an offset, which I don't want to touch right now. And finally, that's it. Now we go to measurement mode. Now, this thing has an undocumented feature. It is not displayed in the manual, nor is it displayed in the product page. But this actually has a third measurement mode. A while ago, I told you guys about the forehead measurement mode, the ear measurement mode, depending on whether this piece is on or off the device. This one can also measure a general object similar to this. Now, why is it different? I'll get to that later. So to do that, turn it on. Then hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Now you see the picture is now replaced with a house. So it's not a picture of a forehead or an ear, but a house. So this is an object measurement mode. So this will measure the thing as it registers in the sensor. Okay? So this has its uses when you want to measure things like boiling water, etc. This, however, cannot be used to determine whether you have a fever by, taking a measurement of your forehead and whatever the output, use it as a way to determine whether you have a fever or not. You cannot use that. You have to use one of the standard measurement modes. Now, to reset it, either you turn it off and on or hold it again for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There. And back. Okay? So remember, it's not in the manual. So that tackles the two things. Device overview and usage. Now for the tip. Tip number 1 is keep the plastic. Do not throw away this. If you're going to throw away the box, sure. Throw away the box. Go ahead. But keep this. Especially if you don't have a medical box to put this in. Why? Because this one relies on infrared. So you want to keep this relatively dust-free. And this is not the most convenient thing to put around. I mean, It doesn't. I mean, it how do you store it? It's not stable. It doesn't. You would want to keep this so at least you have a place to store this in a relatively upright position where it won't gather dust in the sensor. Now, if you actually bought one of those Braun or Omron ear thermometer or forehead thermometer, they actually come with with a cover case, etc. But those are 2,000, 3,000, this is 600. I mean, it doesn't come with a case. So the best you can do is to keep this box and put it here. As a plus side is if you're using alkaline batteries, if this compartment doubles as a storage, so you don't want to keep. I mean, come on. If you're a normal household, you don't get a fever, every day. At most, a member of your household will catch fever once, twice a year. And in between that, you don't really use this device. If you keep the battery inside, it will leak. So this one has a compartment to store the batteries. See? Then you can just put it and here and store it somewhere. If you want to keep the box, go ahead. But at the very least, keep this. This is a very good carrying compartment or carrying stand for this thermometer. That's one. Tip number one. Tip number two is with these thermometers, if the battery is slow, change the battery or charge the battery. You don't want to be using this when your battery is questionable, because this relies on infrared, and if the battery is low, we're not so sure how it's calibrated. If it does auto calibration, the measurement will get lower than usual. So instead of like 37, you'll get 36 or 35. So make sure to keep your batteries fresh or at least not low. So I'm using this one so I can charge it. I can always charge my Eneloop batteries prior to use. Okay. Now, for the actual thing why we're here for is for the accuracy. How does this compare to the pen thermometer and your standard, this thing that you see in every mall when you enter an establishment? Now, one very important thing to note here is that the body's external temperature is different from the body's internal temperature. Internal. So when we use this thing and we get, the temperature of my body like this one, you get what we call the external temperature, and it's low. So you know that the teacher tells you, from biology that the normal body temperature is from 35 to 37. Yeah, but if you use this to take your own temperature, you get 32. Fine, I use my forehead. I'm gonna use my forehead. 34. I'm gonna take the picture. I'm gonna shoot my mouth. Why? Because you're measuring the external body temperature, which is subject to a lot of environmental effects. Like, if it's cold, if you're on the aircon, if you just drank water, if you're breathing cold air, those will all affect the temperature, the external temperature of your body. The internal temperature, however, is more stable. This is why this thing has the ear, the head, and the object measurement mode. This is not to say that this is inaccurate. Well, if it's low battery, it gets inaccurate. But as far as measuring objects are concerned, this is quite accurate. Now, as a point of comparison, let's measure my wrist using this. Compare it with this and this. Now, this is going to be tricky, so I will have to hold it. more. 31.8. So the infrared gun is 31.8. Now for this one, it's supposed to be in the forehead, but again, point is you have to use it where it is, but this is an approximate way of doing it. $36.1. This temperature, 36.1, is more believable than 31.8. However, remember the object measurement mode that I was talking about? Let's switch it. Open it. 1, 2, 3. There. $31.6, which is more 32. 32.6. 32.3. So let's call it 30. Let's say it's 32. So this is not the most scientific, experiment, but the external body temperature is not equal to the internal body temperature. And this device, the reason why this works better than this is because it has, when used in accordance to the direction, to the manufacturer's, instruction, where in the forehead and the ear, it's actually calibrated to map the external body temperature to the internal body temperature. What about this? So I'm going to do it two ways. One is I'm just going to hold the probe. $33.9. How about, okay, so it vastly differs because this is also calibrated in a different way compared to this and compared to these two. So again, it's not that this is inaccurate. It's that it's measuring the external body temperature, but what we want is the internal body temperature. Now, how does this go for when it goes to how does 35.6? How about this guy? $34.8. How about this? $37. How about in object mode? $35. How about the mouth? This one. 36.6. This is a classical, thermometer. So this one, I'll ignore this. However, what I'll do is I'll take the picture. I'll take the temperature of my ear. $36.7. There. So I think this brings me to the other tip. If you can use the ear temperature, measure the temperature of the ear over the forehead. Why? Not that it's more accurate, it's that there's less room for errors. So if you use the forehead, it has to be 1 to 3 centimeters. It's hard to align your forehead with this one. If it's ear, well, there are only 2 holes, and there's only one way to shove it to the hole, to your ear canal. So there are less room for mistakes. So, and this concludes this review. In general, I would recommend this. So if you can't afford the Omron or the Braun, those devices, this is a good substitute. This is a good alternative to those devices, and it's accurate enough. So this is comparable to measuring a pen thermometer in your mouth. So compare it against your mouth. So if you're going to measure this, make sure you take the mouth temperature using the pen thermometer to make more comparable. This is an unscientific experiment because, ideally you would measure it 5 times across different people, etc., to form a good sampling of the population. But this at least gives you an idea on what not to measure it against. Like, do not compare, like, this one, the temperature of this is incomparable to the temperature of this because you're measuring your skin. This one is meant for measuring your your internal temperature, mouth, maybe armpit, and plus you adjust it. But this one, it's not that it's inaccurate. It's that it measures the temperature of your skin. So if you put if I shove this in front of the aircon or the fan, of course it will be lower. And that's why the scanners in the mall, etc., they don't really make sense. Like, you take it takes a measurement of your forehead, it says 31. Hey, you're okay, but in real life, but if you ask a doctor, if your temperature is 31, you're probably dying. That's already hypothermia, maybe. There. And that concludes my review. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe as usual. Bye.